Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dr. Jason Jones back with another episode of Health Made Easy in our series on men's health. And I've got a really important one for you today. This one is titled Men and Depression. And I got to tell you, I have known several men in my own lifetime who have actually committed suicide. And it's one of those things where, healthy, vibrant people, they just don't do that, because depression, it's common, but very serious mental illness that manifests itself in a lot of forms. And when it's left untreated, it can become progressively challenging to overcome to the point where it turns to debilitating and even life-threatening. Depression among men can interfere with everyday life, such as working, studying, sleeping, and eating, difficulty eating. It's a very serious disorder that leaves a person feeling despondent, helpless, completely detached from the world. And if nothing is quickly done to resolve the symptoms and the problems with depression, it could lead to a plethora of health issues and even result in suicide, like I said earlier. So what is depression? So researchers, they actually argue that mental disorders such as depression and anxiety are caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain when there is either an under or an overabundance of chemicals called neurotransmitters like serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, that facilitate communication between the nerve cells. And the reality is that the testing on that is not the greatest at this point. If you want to test neurotransmitters, the best way to do that is actually in the urine. And there are several companies out there that do it. But the way a person would display signs of depression will differ significantly from person to person. But the chemical imbalance in the brain, if there is one, may present symptoms including things like feelings of impending doom, intense anger, worthlessness, sadness, helplessness, restlessness, irritability, a lack of empathy, extreme mood swings, alcohol or drug misuse. They may do that to hush the symptoms. Diminished levels of energy accompanied by unexplained fatigue, isolation from people, a lack of sleep or oversleeping, a lack of appetite or overeating, sort of spaced out concentration, neglecting responsibilities, and a lack of interest in life. Things like hearing voices, having suicidal thoughts, or even attempting suicide. And the unfortunate thing is most men wear a very stoic face, and they would rather bury their emotions deep inside and suffer in silence than let somebody know and see the struggles and flaws that they actually have, because we're like natural protectors and fixers. So we don't want anybody to see like our warts, if you will. Consequently, this leaves men with the underlying feelings of intense anger and frustration. And according to the World Health Organization, among 300 million people are living with depression. Nearly half of them don't get treatment, primarily due to the stigma surrounding mental illness. This is particularly true for men who are a little bit more atypical to some of the most common symptoms of depression. So, coping and managing depression. So if you are, or maybe it's a loved one who is actively presenting with the above symptoms, it's crucial to understand that depression can be a very severe illness. It's not a weakness, and you have nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed about. And it's because it can be managed. Seeking a multifaceted treatment plan that combines things like counseling, other complementary therapies, things like biofeedback, and there's a ton of other ones that are out there that we just don't have time to cover in the podcast today. They can be significantly helpful to lead a full, productive life. But the one thing I would say is that have a competent professional who can march you through this and really help you, and not just, I would say, throw pills at you, even though that may be helpful. But if that's the only solution that they have, the chances are you need some additional help. It's not uncommon for men to have trouble communicating what they're really feeling, let alone figuring out how to talk about depression. So rest assured, knowing that there are a few key steps you can take towards managing and dealing with depression are these. Exercise regularly. Get plenty of sleep. Eating healthy meals and minimizing your alcohol intake has been shown to be super helpful. Accept that you can resolve these problems with therapy rather than self-medicating. look at ways where you can actually share what's going on with you. Practice deep breathing, meditation, prayer, stretching to manage your stress. And if you have thoughts of harming yourself, you definitely got to tell somebody, or at least call the National Suicide Prevention, hotline or lifeline, right away, and seriously talk to a trained counselor. So again, this is Dr. Jason Jones. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not any of those things. But I have a heart for helping people and I have a heart for helping men. And these are just some simple things that you can do to really turn your life around. Don't wait till it's a crisis. Get out there, do what you can do to really help yourself. This is Dr. Jason Jones signing out, and I want the best for you. Take care of yourself. Keep it simple, keep it easy, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Bye-bye.